Hello folks, welcome back to the HS Tech channel. In this video we're going to take yet another look at some GE MASTR III equipment, and we're actually going to look at a dual receive system that is kinda not the easiest thing in the world to find. And believe it or not, got it powered up. I know, amazing, you didn't have to sit around and watch me plug in wires for 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and power it up. So there we go. Now this right here, if you saw the last video, or if you know anything about GE MASTR III equipment, you'll know a little bit about this, and mirrored this. Now this machine is Group 2, meaning it is for the VHF business band, and specifically the 150 up to 174 megahertz version of that band. That means that if you want to retune this for the ham bands, it's a little bit difficult because you have to modify the VCO and the receive synthesizer. And of course you have to retune the receive front end, and we're going to look at all this. Now I'm in the US, so we have this beautiful thing called MURS. Now I have a definitely not type accepted radio, so I'm not actually going to radiate for real. I'm going to replace that with a dummy load here, which is a bunch of adapters, and there's just a B&C 50 ohm dummy load there. There you go. Now, this may seem a bit odd, but I do actually have these reversed. I do have a really sensitive antenna. You can't see it, but off screen I actually have a beam antenna that is pointed at this to try to accumulate as much RF as we can for our demonstration purpose here. If I can get this just a little bit connected, there we go. Okay, that did not help in the slightest. Alright, so now you get the gist of it. What is the point of this? Well, let's say you had a multi-receive trunking system. And in reality, that's what this would be used for, is a trunking system. You would have multiple receivers and possibly multiple transmitters. But in the case of the environment where I got this from, there was one transmitter running 350 watts for a very large geographic area and multiple receivers. So, let's tear it apart. Well, first let's push some buttons and flip some switches. Select here allows you to program the two system modules. Now this is the special system module, this is just a receive only one. If you know from the last video, or again if you know your master equipment, you know there's several different types of system modules, and this is just the receive only one. So you can flip through this to engage the programming mode and allow you to program one of them. This right here defeats the squelch control, and you can hear these relays clicking. That's not the switch switching, that's actually the relays clicking, and that's just to engage the receive audio output, which goes off of this cable and comes out here. P1 is the left one and P2 is the right one, so blue and orange. Although it's a little bit hard to see, but there you go. Antenna connects here, other antenna connects here. So let us pull some modules out, our favorite thing to do. Oh, and you can reset it if you need to. Of course, they have these coax thingies. Go ahead and pull out the receive synthesizer. Now, this right here is the exact same receive synthesizer in all the other masters. So it's got a VCO and our reference oscillator, and then you need to tune the VCO to stabilize it as best you can. Our receive front end. This right here is the classic cavity filter. Now in the manual for the receive front end, again this is Group 2. I don't know if you can see the G2 on that. That's how I know it's a Group 2. This is more or less the exact same as all the other. They all have these cavity filters, although the UHF ones appear copper rather than, I don't know if this is steel, aluminum, zinc, or what, but some not copper metal. And then you need to adjust these tuning slugs to load it up to the frequency you want. And then the frequency comes in here. This is RFN, which of course connects to the antenna, and it passes through these filter cavities, and it's injected right here, and it bounces through these and then it comes out here, gets a little bit of amplification, which is 12 dB, and runs through a diode ring mixer in there, and then the IF in, well, I guess you can say the local oscillator in, and the IF out. The IF in goes into the IF stage, which is shockingly boring, and also really lightweight. It's basically just an FM receiver. The IF frequency is, of course, 21.4 megs, so if you need to test this, just get a ham radio, go on 15 meters, put it into a dummy load, put it on FM, apply your tone, and transmit. You can verify the functionality that way. Wow, I'm really bad at sliding cards in. Now, I'm not going to cover tuning these in great detail, but these need to be at a very specific height, and the manual tells you what height they need to start at, and then you just kind of finally adjust them. And there's one for, like, each interval of megahertz will have one height. There's a table in the manual. You'll know it when you see it, if you have these. Again, this is not retuned. This is on MURS, and MURS is basically like a practice business band, if you will, because it's frequency adjacent to the actual business band and land mobile radio allocations. Alright, so we'll connect our cables again. Now, I want to note that it is a bit cumbersome. I'm actually going to make a video on how to retune a Master III. I've had a lot of people ask me, Hacker, how do you retune a Master III? Well, it's actually really difficult. But I'm going to make a video on how to do it, don't worry. Okay, so at this point, this one is tuned to 151.880, which is MURS channel 2. This is on low power, so I'm guessing the ERP is probably like in the tenths of milliwatts off this dummy load. So there you go. And then the other side is a bit finicky. You have to really get it in there. Because, yeah. Now, you cannot run a repeater on MURS. Sorry, guys. Get a business band license or get a ham radio license. Oh, and in the back is the power module. So we'll shut this off. And we'll pull a power module just for fun. These are running slightly modified. Yeah, these are... Okay, technically there's no difference between the groups of power modules, even though they for some reason have group 2 on them. It's this exact same connector that the rest of the system uses, but for whatever reason they go in the back, and they go diagonal, and they're upside down. Typical quality engineering there, made for hot replacement, should they fail. Get that kick back on. Now, the audio coming out of this is filtered. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Yes, you can tap straight off the discriminator, but the control module is going to apply all the squelching for you. And yeah, there is a line on the bus where you can tap it off directly. But this circuit card up here, which is covered in this material, this insulator, that actually has everything that you really need to process the audio. It's not really that much though. Here's actually where you plug in the program. Handset, this is, you can probably guess what that is. It's like an actual telephone handset. And on the back, there are data port left, data port right, connector general purpose right, and connector general purpose left. And this right here uses this, I don't know how well this is visible, it's this DE9 pass-through thing. And then the line interface is just a good old-fashioned RJ11 4-pin, no, it's actually 6-pin, sorry. It's a 6-pin registered jack, and that will pipe the audio into our receive audio here. And then this here is a basically like a line key interface, so that it knows when to key the transmitters. Now, what is the purpose of this? Why would you need like a bunch of receivers? Truth is, it's, well, I kind of already spoiled it. It's for a trunking system. I'm not going to talk about trunking systems in here. I'm already going to kind of like assume, you know, I don't know if the people who watch this video, I don't know if you work in land mobile radio or if you're a ham. Now, us hams really don't have multi-frequency trunking repeaters like they do in the commercial world, but where I live, there's a VHF trunking system with multiple receive frequencies and multiple transmit frequencies, depending on where you are geographically. It's a bit of a mess, but I guess they really wanted to make the most of their land mobile radio license they got in the 70s. So I guess it is what it is. Now, just for fun, let's actually tap off the audio, and actually I can't because I'd have to like do something really awkward, like no. It sounds like a radio. I mean, it has the 300 hertz notch filter, everything below 300 is cut out. And this is a toned repeater, so 151.94, I'm sorry, 151.94, and then 151.880. Also, depending on the status of the system modules, every now and then they can flip. I don't know why. It's bizarre. It really is bizarre. But every now, and you may have noticed this, you actually saw a legitimate Master III problem in these multi-receiver systems. Every now and then, the system modules will reverse their roles somehow. I'm literally not sure how that happens, but you'll be receiving on this side, and then this control module will say unsquelched. So who knows? And here you go. Oh, well, that's actually just conducting through the metal. But yeah, this is 151.94 and 151.880. And there you go. Now, I'm not going to sit around and yammer on about this forever. I just wanted to demonstrate that this actually exists, because I don't think anyone's really like looked at it per se. There's not really many videos of this out here, but it does exist, and it's pretty simple, and it's pretty useful too. Truly, this is a hot receiver. If you are a ham radio operator and you are a VHF FM simplex enthusiast, this legitimately could be the receiver for you. If you have a huge beam antenna and you have a preamp on it, which actually, I'll be honest, you don't necessarily need a preamp, because this right here has a 13 dB preamp on it as is, and if you just disable the tone, which you can do, this is actually a decently hot receiver. And I have another one of these that I have retuned for 146.52 simplex, and I legitimately actually use it as a simplex receiver. And then, okay, you can probably guess what I'm using for a transmitter. I replaced some of the modules with the transmit stage and had a long BNC cable over here, and basically had a 146.52 simplex rack mount radio. It's really good stuff, and it works well. But I'm not going to keep you around forever. I'm actually going to cut this video short and not yammer on for a billion years, and I will see y'all in the next video, where we will look at a possibly proper trunk system. If not, we're going to look at linear power supplies. And with that, I'll see y'all later, and I'll say 7-3.